Good night, good night, good night, good night, and welcome to the Feminine Success YouTube channel. I hope that y'all are doing well. I'm doing really well tonight. Let me move y'all a little smidge of a bit closer. I'm doing well tonight. I have had quite a week. It has been a good week because we're just coming off of the holidays and gathering and all of that, but it's definitely been quite a week. Um, I think that time between kind of Thanksgiving and Hanukkah for those who celebrate, and then Christmas and New Year's, this is always kind of a hectic time of the year. So I am just glad to be here with y'all today, and not feeling extra bloated and extra all the things because I did eat. I ate more macaroni and cheese in the last 5 days, 6 days than I have eaten all year, probably in 2 years. so, so yes, I hope that y'all are doing well though. I had this message on my spirit. I read a quote yesterday, I believe, that really confirmed for me that this was what I needed to. I'm checking the time. This is what I needed to come on and talk about. And as I am watching what's happening in the world and I'm watching what's happening environmentally and all of the issues that we're facing as women, as people of color, I realize that this message is needed right now. So today we're going to talk about the fertile feminine versus the fierce feminine. And not even so much versus, but how they work together and play together. And often as women, we're only taught to understand, to access, and to activate one side of that. So tonight, we're going to talk about both sides of it. For those of you who do not know who I am Yaya Smith. I am the founder of Feminine Success. I am a life coach going on 10 years now. I am a wife, just celebrated 11-year anniversary. We've been together for 13 years and we have known each other for like 16 years at this point. Um, I'm a mom of four. I am hardcore momming over here, homeschool mom at that. I don't talk a lot about homeschooling on the channel, but I am a full-time homeschooler. Um, and yeah, I have been over the last 10 years almost since 2014, 2015, working with women to create their success story. A lot of my clients have already established a success story and they got there and they realized, you know what, this doesn't feel like I thought it would feel. And I can't seem to stop myself. I can't seem to rest and enjoy all that I've accomplished. That's what we're going to talk about here today because there is a reason that you are programmed not to rest. There is a reason. Okay. So, as I've just been in this quiet place. For those of you who've been around for a while, you're probably used to the Yaya from years ago who was going live every single day and who had so much to say. And while I still have a lot to say, um, I don't find everything necessary to say these days. This, however, with the times that we're in our society, with the times that we're in as women, with what we're experiencing just across the board, now is the best time to have this conversation about the kind of femininity that they want you to access and activate, and the kind of femininity that we as women need to access and activate. So let's talk about the differences. So when you think about the feminine, a lot of times you think about softness, you think about nurturing, you think about fertility, you think about springtime, you think about the warmth of a woman incubating and having babies, and what do they tell us now? If you give anything to a woman, she's gonna multiply it. So you think about this very fertile definition of what womanhood is and what femininity specifically is, what it means to be feminine. What we often don't think about is the fierce side of the feminine. You see, the fertile feminine is most beneficial to society. The fertile feminine is the woman who is always ready to serve. She's always ready to open up and receive whatever the company gives her, her husband gives her, her family has, if they have this task and they want her to accomplish it, the responsibilities that are given to her, she's always willing to take it and turn it into something. And so you can see how fertility, or that fertile side of the feminine, even if you're not having babies, is very beneficial for society. The willingness to go along, the willingness to cooperate, the willingness to multiply a thing, the willingness to accept a little and turn it into a lot. You see how that can be very beneficial for society. But here's the thing. Even when it comes to fertile soil, we talk about all the time, the earth and water are also feminine elements. So a lot of what we notice about ourselves as women, we can see mirrored in the earth. I moonlight as a gardener, for those who do not know. And so a lot of my lessons are garden related and nature themed. All right. So even when it comes to the soil, though, if you constantly sow that soil and you're constantly expecting a return back from that soil, you will deplete that soil. And so what's happening is a lot of women are only tapped into their fertile feminine, and they don't even know that they're tapped into that fertile feminine. They're so programmed to operate in that way that society is exploiting your fertility and you don't even notice it. You think that that's how you're supposed to be. You think that you're always supposed to be doing, always supposed to be giving, always supposed to be nurturing, always supposed to be the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who can turn this into that, the one who can take ingredients and turn it into a meal. You think that's who you're supposed to always be. But even if you read the scripture, one of my favorite books, even if you read the scripture, you'll hear the mandate on how to manage fertile soil. You don't sow your soil all the time. You actually sow your soil for 6 years and leave it completely empty for 7 years, for the seventh year, and allow it to rest. How often are you taking a seventh year? How often are you leaving your land completely clean and clear and allowing it to rest within yourself? See, this is the issue when you're always tapped into the fertile feminine and you do not know how to access or activate the fierce feminine. When you're always tapped into the fertile feminine, you do not feel valuable when you are not producing. You don't feel valued or valuable when you're not producing. When you're always tapped into being feminine means to be fertile. Being feminine means to be insert. When you are not able to access and activate the fierce side of femininity. When the fierce feminine is not accessed and activated, the fertile feminine is exploited. I'll say that again. When the fierce feminine is not accessed and activated, the fertile feminine is exploited because there are no guards at the gate. There is no one willing to put their foot down. There's no one willing to say no. So what ends up happening is the fertile feminine burns out, and then she can no longer produce. She's tired, she's stressed out, all the things. what she's receiving is not enough anymore. And then she's called ungrateful. And then she starts to beat herself up. And then she starts to blame herself. And then she starts to find more things to do to add to her plate to feel more valuable, because she's only tapped into her value when it's producing. Because what does society praise? Society praises the fertile feminine. Society praises that woman who can come in and take a company that's been ripped to shreds and wrecked for years and turn it around, nurture everybody back to health. That's not a bad thing to be able to do that. The problem is when that fertile feminine is driving you and you are not in control of it. When society is driving you to be fertile, when the rules and expectations around you are driving you to be fertile, but you are not producing from your own ideas, from your own clarity. The fertile feminine believes that she needs things from the outside to fertilize her. She needs somebody else's company. She needs someone else's validation. She needs someone else's permission. She needs other people's ideas. All these things. She believes, she knows that she has the ability to create great things, but she believes that she needs everything outside of her to first implant into her, and then she can produce. But let's talk about the fierce feminine, because that fertile feminine is always in a space of waiting. She's not producing unless she's being fertilized by something from outside of herself. But the fierce feminine is a completely different story. And I'm not talking about the fertile feminine for you to say, oh, well, I don't need to be the fertile feminine anymore. No, 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 because that is necessary. The version of you who is always ready to serve, who's able to take a seed and turn it into a tree, who's able to allow your fertility to feed your family, to feed your community, to feed those around you. But here's the thing about the fierce feminine and why the fierce feminine is needed. Because the fierce feminine is not afraid to burn it all down. The fierce feminine knows how fertile scorched earth can be. The fierce feminine is the feminine who will say, and this is why I believe when the creator looked that man in the garden, he said, oh, no, 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 no. You need some help, because if you don't get some help, you're never going to grow. What I put here is what's going to be here forever. You're never going to grow. The fierce feminine was needed to say, this isn't enough. This is not enough. The thing about the fertile feminine is it cannot be enough, and she'll still take it. She'll still take it and turn it into something. Whether that something is what she really wants, she'll turn it into something and be grateful for it. That is a needed skill at times. That was never meant to be a lifestyle. None of us are designed to be pregnant all the time. None of us are designed to be giving birth all the time. A lot of times we are not able to receive because we have not tapped into the fierce feminine who is not willing to settle. And I don't mean the broken feminine. The broken feminine says, I'm going to stand here and pout and cross my arms and close myself off to everything and everybody until I get what I want. That's not what we're talking about. No, it's not. It's definitely sometimes, that inner child, inner teenager wants to play there. But that's not what we're talking about when I say the fierce feminine. The fierce feminine is not willing to settle for not enough, but she's also not afraid to release. She's not afraid to let go. She's not afraid to destroy so that she can renew. So often we are making something out of something that we don't even want or like or whatever. We're just settling for it and dealing with it and making the best of it, quote unquote, when better is available, because we're afraid to release, we're afraid to let go. Because remember, the fertile feminine believes that she can only receive from the outside. The fierce feminine knows that she can clear space in order to receive. If you've been around a while, I always teach nature hates a vacuum. And so a lot of times we talk about releasing, we talk about letting go, we talk about all of these things, but we do not set an intention for what we will receive or what we will replace that vacant space with. So often we're not receiving because we are afraid to go scorched earth. We are afraid to let it all go. We are afraid to say, I trust myself to be able to turn over this fertile soil and reap a reward from it. I trust that when all of this is gone, I can replenish. If you are only connected to the fertile side of your feminine nature, you will always believe that you need to be fertilized from the outside, that you need seeds planted from the outside, that you can only receive when it's coming from the outside. But if you've ever seen scorched earth and you've ever seen it replenish, new seeds didn't fall there. What happened was there was so much there. There were already seeds in the ground. There are already seeds in your life. There are already ideas ready to flourish, things that have been ready to grow for years. That the things that you're afraid to release because, oh, I grew that from a little tiny seed and I don't want to, oh, I don't want to let it go. Those things are in the way of the replenishment and the refreshing and the renewal and the restoration that is to come behind it. The fierce feminine knows that renewal comes behind destruction. So she's not afraid to destroy those things that do not serve, that maybe at a time were supportive but are no longer supportive. She's not afraid to release. She's not afraid to say, this is not enough. That's not the seeds that I want to grow. No, get me better seeds. Or these are the specific seeds that I want to grow. Because the fierce feminine holds the world accountable, it has been to the detriment, but also the benefit of folks who don't want to be held accountable, but also to the detriment because there is no benefit of not being held accountable and not correcting yourself in the long run. It has been to the benefit of society to tell women that your fierce nature is too emotional, is too unpredictable, is too erratic, it is hysterical. There have been medical treatments in history to eliminate the fierce feminine. There have been smear campaigns against a woman's rage, against a woman's dissatisfaction. And so we've learned to play fulfilled, to pretend to be fulfilled, to pretend to be satisfied. And we keep birthing things that are being planted in us from the outside that we really don't want to give birth to anymore. We keep waiting for rights to be restored. We keep waiting for equality. We keep waiting for these things that we're asking for as women to come to us from the outside because we don't trust ourselves to burn it down and replenish from what we know, not what we hope for, not what we believe should happen, but from what we know from the truth. So understand that your fierce feminine nature is designed to protect your fertile femininity from low level, not enough situations and circumstances. And when you shut her up and you shut her down, you end up falling into a place where you are settling, where you are not satisfied, you're not really receiving what you want, you're not really fulfilled, but you're good at faking it. You fall into that place because you're not making room for the fierce version of yourself to be activated. It doesn't mean you going through your life tearing everything down and knocking things over. That's not what fierce femininity means. But she is clear. She's not taking no crap off of nobody. And she's willing to let it all go so that she can have what she really desires and deserves. And she understands, because sometimes we think that it's better to stay in that fertile feminine space because you're nice or it's softer, people can digest it better. She understands. The fierce feminine knows that the evolution that humanity needs right now, the softness that we're looking for in the world, the space for the feminine to flourish, it's not going to come from anything outside of us as women finally deciding that we won't take anything less. That fierce feminine needs room and she needs space in your life individually and also in our world collectively. So I wanted to have this conversation tonight to broaden your understanding of who you really are as a feminine woman. Sometimes when we're in these conversations and we're talking about femininity, it's coming from the perspective of what is digestible for people, what will make others feel good, what will create softness and ease and flow and all of these things for others. But really, in order for that to be sustainable, the woman needs to be the actual vessel of the feminine needs to be supported. What we've been taught is that if I stay fertile and I keep supporting society, then society will support me back. Tell me how that's working for you. Tell me how that's working for any woman. It's not. It's not. There is a whole lot of fear of the father, but there is no fear of the mother anymore. There's a lot of, and not to say that we should be, as a society, operating in fear, but there is a healthy level of caution that should be exercised when dealing with anything and anyone that most people do not have anymore when dealing with women. And women are experiencing the danger that comes along with that. So I'm here. Yeah, it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Strong men don't mind me. Really solid masculine men don't mind me. Women who are truly ready to activate in their feminine power don't mind me. But if you are one of those people who, feels like to be feminine is to just be soft and submissive and shut up and all that, this is not the space for you. I'm going to make you mad at every turn because women deserve to be safe. Women deserve to be protected. The feminine deserves the space to be creative and to be playful and to be nurtured as well as nurturing. However, we do not allow ourselves to be exploited for those things when we're not receiving what we need to receive in order to produce those things. All right. So, with that, I'm going to say good night. I hope that this edified your spirit and helped you to love and appreciate yourself and the divine gift that's been placed inside of you so much more. I will be doing a class at the top of 2024 on activating your fierce feminine and understanding it. If that's something that you're interested in, definitely let me know and keep your eyes open because I'll be talking about it here on the YouTube. With that, I'm going to say good night. Again, I hope this supported you. If it did, make sure that you share it with someone and that you hit the subscribe button. Peace.